At the tavern, the girlish boy, Yukikaze, is getting tipsy on some beverages, spilling the beans to the older waitress about the details of her meeting with the supposed demon lord. When the owner of the tavern asked her what's he like and about if he's appealing or not, Yukikaze agrees, calling him a fancy old dude, labeling Diablo as a total daddy, saying he could have it any way he wanted to, which gets a laugh out of the older woman, or Lei. Lei tells her she can have any guy she wants, which also makes Mikan blush. Mikan points out how dangerous he is, and that she's probably not his type. Hearing this, Yukikaze pouts, saying they'd have great children. Mikan wonders if someone spiked her milk, and reminds the girl about him scorching a pack of monstrous wolves, calling him a walking disaster. Yukikaze gets serious for a moment, reminding her companion about how the old dude saved her life. Mikan agrees, but then Yukikaze spouts out how she plans to repay the old gentleman, which I'm not allowed to describe. Mikan tells her to live her best life, but to keep her out of her future plans, but tells the waitress she wants some more creamy milk down her belly. The guys back in the hooded cloaks talk about Zero's might and how he was able to call out a very strong dragon. Utopia, their founder, warns his followers that Hades needs more sacrifices and dominance, preparing to fight as they depart for the capital gates. Because Krail was delayed by such little matter, Utopia deems Krail an incompetent idiot. Hakuto's party is seated in the carriage of the royal holy maiden, Luna. Hakuto asks Luna what is wrong with his town. After looking outside and seeing a barren community, Luna takes a gulp and states that this happens to be her territory. After seeing the landscape, Hakuto stops the carriage. He inquires about if she's comfortable with the way her people are living. Luna claims she does not desire to rule the country, deviating off her position to someone at the church. Hakuto understands that Luna is simply a public pawn being controlled by someone in the church. Given the circumstances, he still thinks the result is preferable to him though, especially given that Luna's a very poor leader. The egotistical female would end up increasing taxes and making money from the populace while disregarding their needs, with him imagining the instructionist spanking Luna as retribution. While he muses about this, Luna starts to get flushed and scanning the area with a very smug expression. Hakuto telepathically communicates with Yu to ask her whether she agrees that Luna is just simply a puppet here. Yu agrees that the clergy and the country are taking the advantage of her naivete since they didn't have any future plans for this area. Hakuto declares that he intends to utilize the region as his center of operations. While the girls are playing foolishly in the mud, Hakuto requests that Luna give him permission to use a portion of the land and build a hospital. Aku feels better knowing that Ms. Yu can heal a lot of people, with her healing abilities being able to draw in individuals from all around the realm. Hakuto chooses a location and lets everyone know that he intends to build a hot spring resort here, adjacent to the hospital. Hakuto wants to create a product that is certain to work since he doesn't know much about the people, but knows that no one can dislike a hot spring, preparing to operate a firm that would increase his revenue by double, plus accessories. The guy sees the man from the Wanna posters standing behind Luna. As he's about to approach her to pay his respects to her, Luna triumphantly puffs out her chest while bragging about how she made the demon lord serve her, assuming that this man is the one chosen by the church. Hakuto starts to smoke, and then Hakuto orders the man to return back to the church and let him know that from this point on, he and Luna will be in charge of this region. The man starts to perspire and says that he will need to discuss this with his supervisors. He tells the gentleman that Luna is the rightful owner of this property, unless the church or someone else is, however. After hearing this, the guy chooses to follow his instructions and depart. Momo and Kion remark how little and unappealing the carrots look while they're picking them. With this being a town full of bunny girls that like to harvest the area, the carrots can't be sold in the marketplace. Therefore, they have to acquire more additional water crystals so they can further develop correctly. But they can't afford the water crystals because of how expensive they are. Hakuto wonders, why are there rabbit people here? Luna explains, because their god adored them in the past, they were placed in this area all by themselves. Hakuto understands that this is more of a quarantine than admiration for the populace. Luna acknowledges that the Holy Church despises all of the races except for humans. Hakuto gives her a stroke on the back to cheer her up. Luna cries and blushes as she demands to know why he did that. Assuming he has intentions to touch her cheeks, he advises her to save her dreams for nighttime, since she would much rather prefer to hear what the bunnies have to say. She pinches his hair, calling him a dirty old man, assuming he's had enough of her, and is now after the bunny girls. Momo and Kion explain that they're short on water. After speaking to the bunny girls, say hop or bunny, after each one of their sentences, the demon lord inquires as to why they do that. They grin and say that since they're rabbits, people are quite dissatisfied when they don't say that. He begs them to quit, but they find it very difficult to do so. They lead his party to the well, where Yu examines the bottom to assess the extent of the damage, with her saying it's all dried up. Hakuto goes to his UI and discovers that he has a pulley wheel that only costs him 5 skill points. The others are amazed and inquire as to how he was able to drag out a wheel from a portal. According to Hakuto, the wheel is guaranteed to draw out water, regardless of the well's actual conditions. He summons Aku to test out the well and to show that no matter how frail they are, anyone can bring out water. Although Luna has concerns, Aku immediately pulls out water. Luna is still perplexed with how sudden he was able to pull out water from a dry well. Hakuto tells the bunny girls that an item like this is very important to an impoverished society and that it's a magical object that can create water no matter what, even leading to the beginning of conflict. The two girls are aware of what he's saying and agree to keep the information private. He becomes increasingly annoyed knowing that the girls knowingly could stop saying bunny and hop, but choose not to. To cheer them up, he also offers them some fertilizer. Luna finds it very surprising that he's doing something good, but according to Hakuto, everything that he does is predetermined, with them ultimately having a plan for the bunnies later on. Luna thinks it's going to be something very sinister, but he reminds her that someone has to be the one to run the stores. With his next plan having to do with them going to the capital, Luna advises him that he's going to go take her on a capital shopping spree, with him wondering why he has to do so. Word spreads across the Holy Kingdom that Luna intends to rule her realm right now. The chief noble and the top military commander disagree on whether or not they should retake the land, with it being very out of character for the Holy Maiden, with his sister not usually taking responsibility. Also, with her representative being the renowned demon lord, Holy Maiden ultimately chooses to let her be for the time being. Queen enters into the room in a complete fog, ignoring her sister's words, with Angel asking, since they were in the same city, with her being very concerned for her safety. Angel is also interested in learning more about the demon ruler. Queen suddenly admits that she's in love while she's talking about the dragon family. Angel is caught off guard. Queen acknowledges that she can't stop thinking about the dragonkin, admiring his fortitude, his appearance, and his style. She continues, holding on to a doll of the man. Seeing both her sisters behaving strangely, Angel is going crazy. The S-rank adventurer, Organ, and her trusty friend, Mink, discuss the dragonkin and him standing up to evil, with them giving a brief explanation of his clan's history. The owner arrives to deliver a flyer for a different target for Mink. They are being advised to fight this guy, who introduces himself as the Demon Lord, with it promising to be a very thrilling experience. Mink's eyes are pulsing, with her wanting to fight. Yukikaze and Mikan see this. The group is brought to a fancy restaurant, being one of Luna's favorites. With it celebrating the return of Aku's leg, Hakuto waits for a waiter in the corridor, thinking that the night should be more enjoyable. He then pulls something out of the void, which causes the young man to scream. He asks the worker to deliver the strawberry dessert to his table. The girls adore it, with Madame introducing herself. After seeing that Luna is having such a fantastic time, Shrimp Fly Butterfly is a sophisticated, wealthy woman in higher society. She is given a seat with Hakuto. Hakuto sends a message to Luna, telepathically, with Luna expressing her resentment about him being in her head. She explains that Madame is the matriarch of all the wealthy women, having enormous sway and nobility. Hakuto begins to sell Madame on the idea of the hot spring, describing how a person's skin would feel rejuvenated and all the physical aches would go away. Luna provides her perspective to support his idea, but suddenly they feel an earthquake and hear screaming coming from outside. Diablo smiles, with him enjoying the show, as a waiter rushes in to warn them that a sinister group is approaching them. He puts Yu in charge as he escapes to the balcony, not knowing what he's about to go do. Luna objects, as she also wants to go with him, but he reminds her that he can't safeguard her and the locals while doing so. Hakuto notes that their objective might be to attack her. She blushes at his desire to defend her. Hakuto telepathically sends a message to Yu, telling her to act as normal as possible so they may be able to go about this planet with ease. He tells her that he likes the way she thinks and that he's counting on her. With her nodding in agreement, Yu stutters as a result of her infatuation for him. The B-rank adventurer take down a number of cloaked enemies in the city, but they soon become surrounded. Yukikaze is sad that she wasn't able to burst her cherry before dying. Mikan finds it quite remarkable that even at a time like this, she can make such a remark. The two are grateful that Hakuto came to help them. With him halting the onslaught, Hakuto employs many of his attacks, even using an enormous hammer. One cloaked man summons a mid-level demon, using his own body and his companions. The summoning of the demon. Afterwards, the demon is licking his chops, and he uses a barrier to enclose everyone in this area. As soon as Yukikaze sees this, he realizes that they must fight in order to escape. Hakuto hurls a rock at the mid-level demon, while he continues to insult him, when the jester charges at him and freezes in terror at the sight of his evil aura. As he's sobbing, pleading for his life, he's launched into the air, with his move called his dirty fireworks. A crowd of people clap in approval for the monster being defeated. When he's about to go, Yukikaze stops him, with him being hailed as a hero by the populace. She offers to repay him, but he declines the offer, with her still wanting to properly reward him. With Yukikaze requesting for his name, with him saying his name is Hakuto, everyone applauds him after hearing his name. Yukikaze and Mikan get into a fight about who they would prefer. with Mikon preferring the Dragonkin over Hakuto, with this being awkward for Hakuto. The restaurant's customers are amused by the clown jester, with him secretly being a hitman hired to kill Luna. When he approaches the table to make his introduction, Yu removes his arms as a greeting, adding that she can also smell his poison in his pocket while speaking into his ear, with her giving a very sinister grin, telling the man she better not see him ever again. Queen and her elite guard battle the undead in the destroyed city in front of the gate leading to Angel White and the church. A hooded person believed to be their leader sacrifices himself in order to call up Orut, the Lord of Evil. The Holy Maiden creates an angel barrier known as Angel Veil. Fuji rushes in to save the day, but Orut's eye beam sent him off flying. Orut's dark energy is almost able to destroy the barrier, with the Holy Maiden barely able to maintain onto it. Mink moves ahead, certain that it's natural for darkness to be attracted to someone else of the dark. Queen leaps high into the air, performing a very aggressive attempt to hit Orut. The devil can't take more of the queen. After standing up, Orut kicks Mink. The Mink accuses these women of being uncivilized before using his black racer to knock Queen aside. Queen erects a light wall barrier to shield herself, but his darkness wave is too strong, shattering it and leaving her on the ground. When Mink uses her go-to weapon, Twinkle, she counters his gloom. Mink feels very embarrassed when Queen compliments her giant jugs, calling her Miss Gigantic Jugs. Tron sprays a black substance across the area, known as Hades. As a result, they lose their divine protection from the Seraph. With this, Orut has a much easier time defeating them, calling them pathetic, while attacking them with a black ray. Angel's only able to look on, unable to help her sister. Hakuto is watching the struggle, and is stunned by Angel's dress, and remarking how beautiful she is. But ultimately he links her with the other two sisters, thinking that she must also be very deranged for having siblings like that. Hakuto is enraged that this person is wrecking up his plans to research the Seraph, but he believes that justice requires a just punishment, bringing to the fore his dual identity. Zero Kirasame, Queen yells out for Zero's name in a very terrified, unrecognizable loud voice as he emerges in a huge burst of light, with him remarking that she's being bullied every time he sees her, wondering what her problem is. Zero has no recollection as to what happened before he got here, but he can be certain of this. This man must be the bad guy. For each opponent he defeats, his power increases by 5, or it screams in pain as the guy is punching him and kicking him. Zero warns him not to take it too personal, but questions if he can really afford being this weak facing him. Or he's back into a corner until he sees Tron floating. He flies to the girl, puncturing her, sapping out her vitality. Tron formerly lived on the streets and had demon blood in her veins, up until a cloaked person came to take her to their group, with her preferring to live with them rather than be out in the elements by herself. When the girl awakens, Zero screams to her to wake up, and when she does, he hands her a recovery bar, telling the runt to smile since he saved her life, with her forgetting how to. Tron is frightened to see Orut look at her, with the demon being very sick to see the Dragonkin. Zero advises the runt to keep that smile, because no matter what, if she smiles, she wins. The two figures collide, and he's able to vanquish the demon. The lady is stunned, and the kingdom is preserved, with Zero as their hero. And this is where we're going to leave off in today's video. If you like the video, here's another one just like it, so go check it out. I'll be breaking down this anime into multiple parts. Now, if you also like the video, make sure to subscribe, because I'll be uploading daily videos just like this one. So I'll see you next time.